today's video, I thought I would just redo my last video, which was how to care for a sun conure. I feel like for a beginner, it wasn't that in-depth and that informative. It only went for like 4 minutes. So that video will be getting taken down and this video will be replacing it. So let's get started. For anyone new to my YouTube channel, this here is my female sun conure Piper. I don't know where she went. She is coming up to 2 years old, I believe, in November. I did get her in 2017. As you can see, she's extremely happy to be on camera, bopping her head up and down. So I just want you guys to know that sun conures are not for everyone, and this video is not saying you have to go out and buy one or they're the best bird, because they are extremely noisy and they're extremely destructive. Just a little backstory, I remember not long after I first got Piper, I left her on my desk and my laptop's on my desk, and I went out of the room and all my laptop keys were ripped off on the left side, like the control and tab and all that. So that's just gives you a little background on how destructive they can be. Luckily the keys just clip back into place, but I've also watched videos like Logan Paul where the sun conure has just ripped apart his carpet and furniture and all that. So if you live in a rental property or you don't like a bird that's going to destruct your stuff, I do not recommend getting a sun conure unless you have a lot of toys lying around the house that you can occupy her or him with. They are also a very loud parrot. Once I was driving past the house and I literally heard her screaming from the road. So that just goes to show how loud a little bird can actually make. You wouldn't think that it would be that loud, but crikey, Piper is one loud little parrot. Oh yeah. Why don't you give them a scream? No? She doesn't want to scream. She's pretending like she's a good little bird at the moment. Just playing around on my shoulder, but she's not. You do need a fair-sized cage for a parrot, especially a sun conure, because as you can see, they're just sitting on my shoulder. She's gone back and forth like 1,000 times. She's been bopping her head. She's very energetic. So they do need that space to move around in their cage, maybe fly around, have a lot of toys in there, and just a lot of stuff to keep them occupied. I'll insert a little video now of my cage, just a quick little tour of it to give you a little rough idea on what sort of cage you should be going for, how many toys you should have in there. And also with the toys, I do recommend you switch them out every week, because toys can get bored. Like, as you know, with kids, you know, you're constantly having to buy new toys because the toy might get bored. Same with birds, they do like new toys, they do not like new things to play with all the time. And not only that, they'll probably just destroy the current toys that you have, so you'll probably need to replace them once a week anyway, or once a month, depending on how good a quality the toys are. A lot of people seem to think that feeding your bird 100% seed in their diet is healthy for them because they think it's what birds eat in the wild, which is not at all true. I feed my bird a mixture of things, not just seed. She does get a bit of seed very occasionally, maybe once a month, just a little treat because she does like it, but it is not at all healthy and should not be fed 100% diet for any bird, especially a parrot, because they are very energetic. They do need that bit of extra nutrition than little birds like a budgie or maybe cockatiel might, but it is still very important to feed all your birds a healthy diet, not just seeds. I feed her on the daily Vetafarm pellets. I'll put a little photo up here. She also loves her vegetables and she used to love her apple, but I watched a video on bird tricks that said not to feed your birds much fruit because acid or something in the fruits affects their insides, and it can also cause them to be extremely ill and possibly lead to death. So I recommend that you just really stick to vegetables for your bird because it is extremely healthy for them. Piper here loves spinach and corn, and she also loves snow pea shoots. I haven't found any other thing that she seems to like yet. She is a bit fussy when it comes to vegetables, but when I used to feed her fruit all the time, she loved it. Every bit of fruit she could have, she'd just eat it. Bananas, apple, she just goes wild for it. And a little side note, it is very important to never feed your bird avocado. It is extremely toxic and will lead to death. I don't think there's any cure for it once they've ate it. So don't leave it lying around your house or on your bench or anything, because if your bird does get to it, they will sadly pass away, and you don't want that. I also have some cuttlefish in her cage, a mineral block in her cage, and I do put wormer in her water every now and then just to keep her free of worms. So this is all stuff that you need to keep in mind for when you buy a bird, especially a conure, because that's what this video is about. And as I said before, they do go through a lot of toys because they are very destructive And if they're not always out playing with you, they'll probably be in their cage playing with their toys and destroying them. So you do need to make sure that you have a lot of toys for them to play, that you can switch in and out of their cage. Also a little bit on cleaning to give you a rough idea. I clean Piper's cage and her play stand that she comes out on once every week, because as I've said, they are very messy birds. They poo a lot and their poos aren't small. And if you leave it longer than a week, it does get quite smelly. So I just have newspaper sitting on the bottom of my cage, and then I just replace it out every week, and I take her out of the cage. Sometimes I take the toys out, usually once a month I take the toys out and just soak them in water, hot water, and then I spray it down with vinegar. It's just a lot more safer for the bird. I wouldn't use Dettol or any chemicals like that, because if she goes like licking the side of the cage, she could possibly die from it. So I just spray it down with vinegar, I wipe it over, make sure I get rid of any poo residue, and then I just put fresh newspaper down. And then that's her cage and stand clean. And also, I didn't mention it before, but a stand for your parrot is also very important. I believe my stand, I think, cost me just over $100 from a local pet store. It is very good. I bring her out on that, I sit her in my room and she just plays there for the whole day. She loves her play stand, it has a lot of toys on there, and it just provides her something to do that isn't inside a cage. Being in a cage is like being in jail, so would you like that? Probably not. So I do like to bring her out on her play stand whenever I can. She loves it, and I love watching her play on it. So that's another thing to think about when you buy a parrot. Probably good to buy her a play stand too. The last topic I'm going to talk about on this video is extremely controversial, so before you go commenting hate down below, please listen to what I have to say and why I do it. And it is whether or not you should be clipping your bird's wings. A lot of people seem to think it hurts them, it's cruel, they need it. Well, they do sort of need it, but the way I clip my bird's wings is they can still fly from A to B. They just can't fly up into a ceiling fan and they can't pick up speed with it. But if they're flying from like their cage or something, they can slowly get to a destination, but it's not fast, they won't hurt themselves if they run into a window, they can't get up to a fan because they can't excel. It's just, I feel like it's safer for my birds. Piper here is, I think, the first bird that I've ever let her wing feathers fully grow out, because she is extremely smart. I've never had an incident where she's flew into a window or a mirror or a fan, but my cockatiel's wings I still always clip if I know he's going to be coming out a lot, because he still does fly into fans and mirrors and windows, and I don't want one of those days to be it fatal, because as you know, if a bird hits a window hard enough, it could die from concussion, brain damage, and I just do it for safety. And a lot of people don't agree with me when I say that, but it is for safety. And also, I don't want my bird to fly out of the house and not me be able to retrieve it. But the way I clip my bird's wings, I believe I only clip 3 or 4 depending on the bird. So if it flies out the door, it can't go far and I can run out and get it. And it also can't fly up. But it can also escape from predators too. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you're thinking about clipping your bird's wings. It's not bad for the bird, it's not cruel, it doesn't hurt them. It's like just clipping your toenails. It's practically what it's like clipping a bird's wings. It doesn't hurt. A lot of people are like, oh, maybe I should clip your head off or something. Well, that would hurt and that would cause death. It's not going to cause death just by clipping their wings, possibly not clipping their wings. It could cause death if they run into a window and hurt themselves. So there's just a lot of things you need to think about when cutting your bird's wings, whether you want to or not. It's personal preference, so it's up to you. A little pro about having your bird's wings not clipped is with Piper here, I didn't even have to train her, but now she actually just flies to me no matter where I am. Like if I walk out of the bedroom and she sees me walk out of the bedroom and she's just on her play stand, she'll fly out after me. If she's sitting on the bench and I just finished cutting up her vegetables or something to go put in her cage, she'll fly and land on my shoulder. Anyways guys, that's all for today's video. I do hope that it was extremely informative. I hope you learnt something. I hope if you're new to owning a bird or you're thinking about getting a Sun Conure, maybe I swayed you in the right direction, whether because they're too noisy you don't want to get one, or because they're messy you don't want to get one, or because they're a good companion bird you might want to get one. So just keep all that in mind whether you want to go out and buy a bird yet. Feel free to go check out my other how-to videos if you have any other sort of bird. And by the way, if you do have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment down below. I do try and reply to all of them. I do read all of the comments, but I do try and reply to most of them. Sometimes I don't get around to it, but I'll give it a shot. And if you guys have any social medias like Instagram or Twitter, feel free to send me a tweet or Instagram of your bird and I'll check them out, or comment down below your Instagrams and I'll go check them out. I love looking at my fans' birds. It makes me happy, especially if they're a little sun conure. My social medias are always in the description box below. Make sure you go check them out. And I think that's all for today's video. Bye guys.